This Instagram strategy has allowed me to get multiple clients, millions of views, leading to more high ticket clients. But most importantly, as I stated in this title, it's led one of my clients to have 10k days and get multiple inbound DMs, book calls on a daily basis. And these aren't just book calls in general, they're qualified pre-sold book calls that just are ready to pay. And in this video, I'm going to give you the exact strategy for free. It's not going to be a cookie cutter strategy. After this video, you should be able to take what I said, implement it for yourself, and get the exact same results or similar. And yes, I've got no top on right now. It's very hot in the UK, and if I had a top on right now, I wouldn't be giving this value away. I wouldn't be filming this video, so that's why. But if you're a high ticket business owner, stop whatever you're doing right now and watch this, okay? It's going to be very valuable. But without further ado, let's get into it. And by the way, I'm going to put on the screen right now the 10k days, so it's a voice note from my client, so you know it's actually real.
The first two guys were small. They were 3k and 3k. And then this next guy is 4,500, I think.
But anyway, there's 3 parts to this strategy, okay? There's growth, nurture, and conversion. And as you can see, this is my client. He only has 10.5k followers, which is really good. 10k days with 10k followers is very, very good. Okay, not most people don't make that, okay, at all, and that's because they're doing these things wrong that I'm about to speak about. But first is the growth piece, and it's basically knowing who to speak to. So most business owners either do one of these 2 things. They don't create content at all, and if you're doing this, if you're not creating content, you need to start creating content because it's the best free way to get more traffic and more people knowing about you and your offer. And most of you don't even know this, but whatever you're doing, whatever acquisition system you're running right now, it actually adds fuel to the fire of that, okay? If you're running ads, people search you up, see your content, and are way more likely to book in a call or opt in, leading your sales cycle to be shorter, and more people booking in who literally have their credit card out ready to pay. Okay, it lowers your cost per call, it lowers your cost per acquisition, it lowers your cost per acquiring a customer, and it just makes business 10 times easier because you will never have to worry about leads again if you do it right. And most importantly, qualified leads, pre-sold leads who book in, willing, like ready to pay you straight away. Okay. Next thing you could be doing wrong is creating content, but you're either going too broad or too niche. Now, you need to create content that's in the middle. Now, what I mean by this is it's not too niche that it gets 10 views and you hardly go to anyone, but it's not too broad that it goes to unqualified people who will never pay you. So to do this, you need to actually create something I like to call a content bullseye. Well, it's actually not from me, it's from this social media guy called Callaway that I learned it from. But this is basically allows you to know how broad or narrow you should go with in your content, and this will allow you to create content that grows your account and also converts people into high ticket clients. So let me just show you an example. So this is actually made with Claude, and there's a prompt that you can use and there's a builder that you can use that I will leave in the description. But here's an example for just a business coach in general, and it's basically there's basically layers to who you're trying to speak to, and the main goal should be to the content that's going to convert into high tech paying clients is the one in the center. So there's 5 levels, okay, and you should be having a 3 to 1 to 1 content mix. So every batch of 5 videos you should have 3 aimed at the center for conversion, 1 aimed at ring 1 for reach with conversion, but 1 at ring 2 for pure reach. So basically, to put it simply, what this content bullseye does is it helps you understand kind of where you should be targeting and who you should be targeting and how far above it you should be targeting, because most people go too broad, as I said. So for example, if I was a business coach and just talking about business in general, that would maybe be too broad, especially if my target and ICP is marketing agency owners doing 500 to 200 million annual recurring revenue who are still stuck as a chief fulfiller and can't hire fast enough to step out of client work. Okay, so if I went too broad there, it just wouldn't go to who I want it to go to. So what I would do is stick to number 4, which is agency owners at any revenue, and this allows me to go to a broader audience, and then people will see that kind of content. Agency owners, this is just an example by the way, agency owners would see that type of content and they will click on my page, then see what I speak about. Maybe I speak about about hiring more, and they're like, okay, this guy is for me, this is what I need, and that is my ideal client. And then the centerpieces of content will nurture them. So you need to create one of these bullseyes. I will leave the skill builder for Claude, and it will give you it, what you can literally just create, and it will give you something like this, it will literally give you what kind of content you should create for each ring. But yeah, small business owners and entrepreneurs, this is like too broad. Okay, it's way too broad because it won't convert. That's just an example though, but most people and most business owners are going too broad or too niche with their content. So you need the middle ground, and that bullseye allows you to do it. Okay, and what we did for Rick is, my client, which I showed you here, is we created that bullseye for him, but we made sure we went outside his industry and found existing formats that have performed super well. And this way, whatever piece of content we could create, so if it was one of those really conversion focused piece of content, is still going to get more views. It's still going to go to those people because we're utilizing a format that's trending, that's working. So the algorithm's going to push it out. So what we did, we found a format which was called the 1 to 10 rating format, and this is where basically Rick's he helps people buy businesses, and what we did was rate businesses to buy, rate ways to buy businesses, rating platforms to buy businesses on, and this allowed us to go a bit more broad and go to more people, but niche down throughout the video and target his actual ICP, who it was. Okay, so that's the growth part of content. You need to really understand who you're speaking to, and you need to have a middle ground within your content, so you're not going too broad and you're not going too niche, but you're in the middle. You're speaking to your ICP, but you're also creating content that's reaching more people, so more people can come into your world and see that kind of conversion based content and realize it's for them, and that is your ICP. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, the next part is nurturing, and there's multiple ways you can do this, but there's one thing you need, which is nurturing pieces of content. So kind of this growth stage is the content that you create, and who you're trying to speak to, but the nurturing phase is where you really build up trust with your audience and start really like nurturing them, and this would be conversion based content as well. But these are pieces of content that shift beliefs, overcome objections, answer any questions and concerns to just pre-sell the call, and most importantly, pieces of content that show proof. So what you need to understand is your ideal clients, they have certain objections and beliefs, questions and concerns that are stopping them from taking action, and you need to completely destroy them within your pieces of content. And you do this by understanding all of them and creating specific pieces of content that completely destroy them. So an example of this type of content for Rick is most of his ideal clients actually believe they need at least 100k to buy a business. We create specific pieces of content showing them how his clients had less than 50k and still bought a cash flowing business. Okay, and also content that just explains how to buy a business with little to no money. This builds trust and positions Rick as the expert, and that's what you should be doing, not creating funny content, not creating personal content, not to be rude, but no one cares about you yet. Okay, you haven't built up enough credibility for people to actually care about you yet. And this is exactly what Hormozi done. He started off with talking specifically to gym owners, but as he grew, he spoke to more business owners. Now, in general, he speaks about his personal life as well. Okay, we know they're having a baby. Okay, Leela and Alex are having a baby. So you don't need that personal aspect yet. You can do in the future, but no one cares about you yet. Okay, until you provide value. So you need to position yourself as the expert, and how you do this is by creating content like this, creating really tactical pieces of content that shifts beliefs, overcomes objections. And you really need to be focusing on building your expert personal brand. So a good way to find out these beliefs, objections, questions and concerns is actually downloading your sales calls, and basically go into Claude, implementing those sales calls transcripts and asking it to give you the biggest beliefs, objections, questions or concerns of your prospects, and then create content directly tackling them. Okay, so for example, again, Rick's one is they need at least 100k to buy a business. We could create a piece of content that goes through how much money you actually need to buy a cash flowing business, and this would shift the belief. We could mention how 100k, you don't even need 100k, and they'd be like, what do you mean? Oh, what? let me watch this in a bit more detail. It keeps them on the video, and that belief's going to change by the end of it, and then they're going to watch more of your content. Okay. And by the way, if you want us to do all of this for you, while you only have to do one thing one time a month, which is press record for an hour, we take care of the rest. We do the research, the ideation, the scripting, the editing, posting, and set up the ManyChat sequence in the background to actually convert viewers into paying clients. And if you want a guarantee of at least 15 to 30 pre-sold appointments on your calendar, or you get a full refund, check out the first link in the description and book in a call. We can speak in more detail. We've done this for multiple clients, what I'm going through right now, okay? And after you've created that kind of content, you're kind of creating a funnel, so you're getting more attention through the kind of broader pieces of content, and then you're niching down through these kind of nurture pieces of content, and now you need the conversion. And I want to mention that in these nurture pieces of content, you can, of course, include social proof. Social proof is super important. You need to speak about your client's results and also your own proof, what you've done before, how you've done it, okay? And that's very important there. But next is conversion. And there's really only two main ways to convert viewers into paying clients on Instagram. I would say there's actually three. One is organically, of course, people just decide to book in, okay? Number two is Instagram stories, and number three is ManyChat. And today we're going to specifically focus on ManyChat because it's very overpowered. So what you need is one keyword. And what I mean by this, basically, if you don't know what ManyChat is, it's an automation platform that's linked with Instagram. You've probably heard it before. People say, comment the word keyword, I'll send you over this. It automatically sends you it. That's what ManyChat is. And what we can do here is have one specific keyword that we use in our conversion pieces of content. Let's just say, well, the example for Rick is his keyword's mentor. So whenever someone comments mentor, they get a message automatically saying, hey, would you like my help finding, acquiring, and automating a business? Because the call to actions in the conversion pieces of content are really direct. So they say something like, if you want my help finding, acquiring, automating a business, comment mentor. I'll send you over some more details. Boom, they comment that word, he gets a they get an automation, they say yes, and then they go through a qualifying stage, and you can automate that with ManyChat as well. It just depends on how many questions you have for your qualifying process, and then at the end you can literally just offer the call. What I prefer to do, and what we do for Rick, is we have the first few messages automated, and then the setter, an appointment setter, takes over and books them on a call. But the thing is about these calls is they've already watched your content, they've willingly commented that keyword mentor, for example, and now they're in the DMs where you can actually really qualify them, see that if they're a true fit for your business, and then you hop on a call, they've got their credit card out ready to pay, okay? And that's if you do all the content right. But this is exactly how we allowed, this is the exact Instagram strategy we used to allow my client to have 10K days with just 10K followers. So to go through it again, just quickly, is growth, okay? You need to find out who you're speaking to, and you need a middle ground with your content. You can't be too broad, you can't be too niche, you need to be in the middle, and you need to create all three pieces of content. So growth pieces of content, kind of niche, and the center focus, which is speaking directly to your ideal client, okay? Next is nurturing, and this is coming up with content and creating content in general that shifts beliefs, overcomes objections, and answers any questions and concerns. And finally is setting up a ManyChat sequence that just literally sends them details, okay, and asks them questions, qualifies them, and books them on a call. And if you do want to learn how to set up that exact ManyChat sequence, the one that we use to allow Rick to have 10K days, the video in the middle of the screen right now will teach you exactly how to set it up for completely free. If you click on it and watch it, it will go through it. But I hope you got some value from this video. This is the strategy we used, and yeah, subscribe, everything like that, and peace.